Welcome everyone to the Chompcast, the official podcast of Sword Chomp and SwordChomp.com. Thank you for downloading or streaming our podcast, taking some time out of your busy life to listen to us. Remember, if you're digging the show, please subscribe, leave us a kind rating, share with your friends, anything you can do to get the Sword Chomp name out there. We have a loot-tastic show today, as we will be discussing the whole loot box controversy and just loot boxes in general in video games. Some more Cuphead, Shadow of War, I guess is the semi-game of the show, Crash Bandicoot, Stranger Things on mobile, and in our bio break portion of the show, we discuss an article about insects that bury their dead and why. So it's going to be a really cool show. But let's get to some quick introductions from the Chompcast crew. Joining us today, I guess in line with Shadow of War, I was trying to think of some stupid introductions to give you guys. One ring to rule them all, Joshua Fowler, here from Michigan. How you doing, Josh?
That ring is the butthole. It's...
We are all slaves to your butthole, Josh. It's very powerful. But I'm glad you're here today, Josh. Shay Layton.
Speaking of brownouts.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a pre-show joke. And that was Shay Layton, our resident biologist and Japanese correspondent. How you doing, Shay?
Mornings are for coffee and contemplation.
It's very true. It's true. What are you contemplating this morning, Shay?
How excited I am for the second season of Stranger Things, and that's it. I'm really stoked on it.
It's gonna be great. Hopefully.
Yeah, it's a good show. Not a great show, but a good show. Maybe we can fight about that later. I tried. But this is not the place. But yeah, thank you for being here, Shay. And up next, of course, from Texas, after reaching a moderate level of celebrity status on this very podcast, our next co-host was contacted by the adult store Adam and Eve, which is pretty cool. Because now if you go to your local Adam and Eve adult store, right next to cock moldings of famous porn stars like Jeff Stryker and Shane Diesel, you can find Anthony Fisher's signature 4.5-inch realistic cock molding, which I hear is actually...
Hey, 4.5? Better add about a foot on that.
Yeah, that's the insertable length. So
Literally,
much of that is balls that you just
sever
really...
a foot and add a foot.
Yeah.
It's just all ball? Is that true, Fish? Are you all ball?
That's all you need, right? I thought that's what the ladies wanted.
No, you have so much to learn, Fish. So much to learn.
You don't pop your scrotum into somebody, Morgan?
I'm open to a lot of things, but it's been... I've kind of fallen off the wagon. I'll try to get back on.
I'll teach you.
Never mind. No, why not? If you had that scrotum in there, there's no way you would have fallen off. It just kind of hold you right in there. It's
sure you would have been anchored in there.
Oh, that's your trick. Okay, I get you, Fish. You just anchor yourself in, and then you're set for life. That explains a lot. I hope your wife is okay with that as well. I mean, all these people going out there getting a slice of fish at their local adult store. So.
Yep. They'll never leave their woman.
I just like the sound of a slice of fish. It just sounds good, rolling off the tongue.
That's what I had for dinner.
And of course, I am Morgan from Montana, and I spend way too much time thinking about Fish's penis for this podcast. I've noticed on a regular basis, I really do spend way too much time thinking about your penis, Fish. But you know what?
It flatters me. It flatters me.
Yeah. It's a memorable 4.5 inches. Okay, there's no shame in that. And I didn't even include the girth. I want to leave some mystery for people when they go to their local store. So, we all know girth matters. But let's slam right into it. Full pun intended. So loot boxes is the topic of the show today, and this is pretty interesting, both with Destiny 2 as of late with some loot box controversy, and then now Shadow of War. You know, more people are talking about the loot box controversy with Shadow of War than the actual game to some degree, which is interesting. And this has been kind of escalating over the past year or two, especially with Overwatch, and games like that have done it well. But anyways, loot boxes is the topic of the show. So we wanted to kind of go around here and kind of get our thoughts on it. I wanted to start it off by going over this with you guys, because I thought this was interesting. When we were talking about making loot boxes the topic of the show, the first thing I went to look up was, what was the first loot box? I was like, what was the very first game that implemented these loot boxes? And just from the research, I found out that the first instance of a loot box system was believed to be in this Chinese free-to-play game called ZT Online. And the first Western appearance was in Team Fortress 2, way back in the day, 2010, which is interesting because, Overwatch ended up kind of going for that Team Fortress thing. And bring in the loot boxes back with style. But here's the interesting one. Shay probably remembers this. The first purchasable game is the key word, to feature loot boxes was Mass Effect 3, which I didn't remember that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I remember coming along with that multiplayer was the ability to buy some of those loot boxes, and it was, to me, a relatively new concept in a purchasable game. Not to say it was the first, obviously, one ever, as you just cited some other examples, but yeah, it was a brand new concept for me, as I'm sure it was for a lot of other people, especially with Mass Effect 3 finally introducing multiplayer into their franchise.
Yeah, see, I didn't try the multiplayer in Mass Effect 3, so I don't remember what... I didn't taste it firsthand.
You missed out. Multiplayer in that game was a lot of fun, and at the time, it was... for Mass Effect, it was a fresh concept. Granted, it basically was firefight mode back when that was when every game started introducing firefight mode into their repertoire, but it still felt fresh somehow to me.
Do you remember? I mean, if you don't, that's fine. I won't make you go into it too much, but I was just wondering if you remember what the loot boxes were like with Mass Effect.
If I remember correctly, it was a lot of just aesthetical things, and then you got some brand new guns as well to use in your firefight mode.
Okay,
that's how. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong. That's how you.
Okay. I was just curious.
Unlock some guns, but I know a lot of it is aesthetical value.
Yeah. It's been a long time, so I was just curious. But yeah, that's kind of cool. And then, of course, now Overwatch blew it up, and it's everywhere. But yeah, so how do you guys feel about loot boxes in general? Josh, I mean, I'll throw it to you first. I mean, you're the big Overwatch guy here, and Overwatch probably does loot boxes in a way that's the least kind of dirty and gross feeling.
Yeah, I think the big thing is just what they have in them, and how else you can get the stuff that they offer. That's the big thing for me. Because, I mean, just, for example, since you brought Overwatch up, it is all the cosmetic stuff. Like, it's all skins and emotes and stuff like that. None of it has any impact in gameplay at all. It's all just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all stuff you can get just by playing the game. I mean, obviously, you can get more of it faster, but it's all stuff you can get from playing the game.
Yeah.
Which doesn't feel that bad. It actually feels a whole lot better since this summer. Because this summer they actually changed the way their loot boxes work to where you have a much, instead of everything having just a normal chance to drop like it used to have with Blizzard games, you have a much lower chance of getting duplicate items now.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, so your loot boxes end up being stuff you've not seen before much, much more often since this summer, which is really cool. It makes them feel a whole lot better than it did.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's something that you get loot boxes just by playing the game. Like, you get one every time you level up. You get You get some by playing the arcade. Like every 3 wins in the arcade, you get a loot box. Like they dole them out fairly generously.
So you don't feel pressure to buy them, and plus it's just cosmetic. So
yes, the only way I feel pressured to buy them is just that the game's so good that I actually don't mind giving them extra money, because I mean it's at this point it's over a year old, and they're still supporting their servers better than most games do at launch. So
do
yeah,
we really need?
That's the truth.
You're right, but do we need to give Blizzard more money, Josh? I feel like they're just bathing in money at this point.
I mean, not really, but as long as they get it for the things that they know they should get it for, because, I mean, they're still raking in money off of WoW. In
Hearthstone is definitely garnering them a fair bit of money as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another one that I can't make up my mind on, because that one is, in some sense, pay to win. You can, not strictly, you can, if you're good at it, you can basically go infinite on the arena, because it costs like 150 gold to enter, and it is, if you are good enough at it, it is fairly easy to get more than that back out of an arena run. So you pay that, you get more gold back, and they give you a pack of cards.
Yeah.
So if you're good enough at it, it's not strictly pay to win, because there are ways to do it without spending any money fairly easily. But that still feels a little bit iffy to me, just because you are paying for the thing you're playing the game with, which feels wrong. But I mean, it's one of those things that card games have been doing that for decades at this point. So I mean, what else?
Yeah. Well, that's not even really a loop. That's not a loot box, though. Really, I mean, that's That's almost a whole different discussion. It's not
exactly, because they can't. That genre already had that as kind of a given, but yeah, I'm still not entirely sold on that, because some of the other games that have come out since then have done away with it, like Netrunner, which is a full set of cards that you can buy, and then it has separate expansions where you just go in and buy the entire set. So it's not a random card game. It's not like collectible. You can just you just buy the cards you want. You know exactly what you're getting from the manufacturer. And it's also an amazing game, which doesn't hurt. So yeah, certain players out there are trying to find new ways to do it.
Speaking of loot boxes, Fish, do you have a confession that you'd like to make to the crew here?
Oh, what are you talking about here?
It's funny because I remember you telling me a lot of opinions you had on loot boxes back in the day, and especially playing all these mobile games that, and then, I don't know, this game called Destiny 2 came out, and they had these loot boxes you could spend real money on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the second I saw the Eververse in Destiny 2, where you purchase the Bright Ingrams, they offered, like, buy 1 or buy 3 or buy 5, I think. And, you have to buy the in-game currency silver, and it's the only way you could get this currency in the game is to actually buy it. So otherwise you just earn the bright Ingrams as you level up. So essentially it is a loot box, and you get like things like modifications for your weapons and shaders, exotic ships or legendary ships, sparrows, or emotes, and that's strictly what the Bright Ingrams give you. But I decided I just wanted to buy, $10 worth of silver and get me 5 Bright Ingrams and open them all up, and it was fun. I mean,